Hey everyone, this is Roman with Diaz Creative Studio. This week we're going to be designing and 3D printing this minimalist wireless phone charger that looks like a pillow using Blender and the Bamboo Labs A1. This is my nightstand and where my phone currently lives and charges while I sleep. And this works okay, but it's still a real pain to get the phone lined up, especially when you're half asleep. If it's off by just a little bit, the phone won't charge. And it's ugly, so we're gonna fix that with something that works better and looks better. Oh yeah, much better. First thing we're gonna do is open Blender. I'm going to put the keyboard shortcuts that I use on the screen as well, so you can try to follow along. First, we'll hit A to select everything, and then delete, so we are starting with a fresh slate. And then for reference, I'm going to import a STL of a dummy phone. It's just a rectangle that's approximately the same size and shape as my cell phone. And we'll just bring that up a little bit. Now Shift A to bring up the add menu, and we will select mesh and then plane, S to start scaling, and we can just drag this out and use the phone as our guide. This plane is eventually going to become our pillow, so we want it to be just slightly larger than the outer dimensions of the phone. And then we'll head into the edit section and right click and subdivide. We'll hit 25, and then you can see it has divided that surface into a bunch of smaller squares. Then we'll hit E for extrude, and we'll drag that up just a little bit. Then we'll need to make a loop cut, so we'll hit Control R and select that on the horizontal plane there, and just click to set it, and then hit S, and we can drag that out. And that's it. That is our basic pillow shape. And now we'll go back into object mode. And now we'll dive into the physics panel and go to cloth. Turn on cloth, and we will edit these features here. Pressure, we'll turn that up to 1, and gravity, and we'll turn that to 0. And then when we hit spacebar, it will run the cloth simulation, and it's just a whole lot of fun watching that blow up, and that looks kind of pillow-like. And so we can experiment by editing the pressure. They're turned up way too high, and here it is, turned down, I should say, a little too low. And so you can just hit play and change the values and just see where it's at. And I'm going to do that a few more times and really dial in what I want the pressure to be for how plump I want the pillow. So it's going to take a few more times. And that actually is pretty good. And what we can do is actually scrub through this timeline here and pick a frame where we think it's looking the most pillow-like. I like this, so we're gonna pick this. And we can set that by clicking this down arrow and hitting apply, and it's gonna sort of freeze this shape the way it is. And then we'll add a new modifier, subdivision. And let's turn our phone back on. And so the next part will be running another cloth simulation and getting the imprint of this phone, or this dummy phone, into the pillow that we just made. So we just start by getting things positioned, going to resize the pillow a little bit. I want the eventual phone stand to hold the phone slightly propped up so I can see the face when I'm lying down. And then after scaling the pillow a bit to get the size just right, we can get back into cloth. And we will just set the gravity to -1. And now when we hit spacebar, you can see it's very slowly rising with the negative gravity there. Space, it's going a little faster. Oh, one tip, if it's running slow, go ahead and drag the cloth modifier above your subdivision. Oh yeah, that's a lot faster. There we go. And then turn on collision here with the phone. And once that happens, boom, you can see the two objects are interacting. Really cool. So you can take a look and then start to change some of the positioning of the pillow. And you can scrub back and forth on the timeline to pick the frame where it looks the best. And after making just small adjustments, you can kind of go back and forth and dial things in, get them just how you want them. And now it's time to do the bottom. You want this thing to sit flat, and so we will basically do what we did with the phone, but in reverse. So instead of having a negative after we apply the cloth simulation to sort of freeze things, we'll go back into physics, go to cloth, and we will turn the gravity positive so that instead of raising away from the plane, the pillow is going to drop towards it. And with collision on this plane, that's going to give us a nice sort of smush effect from the pillow falling. And it'll flatten out the bottom and sort of make it look a little more natural. And that's it. Now we have a nice flat base, a recess for the phone to sit in, and nice curved contours of the pillow that will kind of guide the phone to exactly where it's supposed to be. All it's missing is some fabric texture. And to add that, we're going to do that with what's called a displacement. And so add another modifier. You can search for it with by starting to type displace. And then for the image, I've already picked one out. I have a link in the description of where I got this texture, but freely available, and there are many others. So you could get almost any fabric you want. And you can see once we select the image, the surface of this pillow is already, you can see a lot of effects, even if it doesn't look like fabric just yet. So we'll go back to displace and dial the strength way down, and oh, there we go. Now we're still not seeing much of the texture, and so we can turn up the number of subdivisions in our subdivision modifier. And once we start getting up to 6, wow, you can really see the detail just gets turned up there. We just want the physical texture to be part of our 3D model. And if you notice, the sides are looking a little funky. They're a little stretched. And so we can fix that by UV mapping. And we'll go ahead to the UV editor and just hit A, and then hit U to bring up the unwrap menu, and we'll select Smart Unwrap, and it will generate a UV map for us. And then when we go back here into our displace modifier, we can change the coordinates to UV, and that fixes that stretching and gets things looking pretty good. one more thing it looks almost like it's impressed. There we go. I had the intensity or the strength negative. So the pattern was digging into the shape. But there we go. And that is our cloth pillow with our phone imprint. So I actually did a few versions of this and printed small sample pieces just to make sure that the overall effect was what I wanted. And this is what I ended up with. All right, now on to hardware. This is the wireless charger that I purchased to go along with this project. It's slightly more powerful than the one I have now. I did not pay $30 for this. It was $10 on Amazon, and I purchased this one because it had the longest advertised effective range. I think it said something 5 to 6 millimeters, which was more than enough, but I wanted to make sure that it would be strong enough to go through the pillow and through a potential phone case and still charge the phone. So once we measure it, we can hop into Fusion 360, and I'm going to speed through this, but we're just going to use the measurements that we took to recreate the shape of this charger, and then we will use that shape to cut away from the pillow that we made and make a nice little recess. So I've exported one of the pillows without any of the texture on it, and that's important because Fusion 360 doesn't like heavily textured 3D meshes. And with that there, I can do a cross-section analysis and really get the phone charger positioned as close as I can to the pillow's surface and make sure that it's in the center of the pillow. And then so that we can slide the wireless puck into the pillow, I'm adding an extra portion that will create a channel. You'll be able to just slide the charger in through the slot at the bottom. And then one more plane on the bottom so that it will be perfectly flat. And that's how I'll just print this upright. And another small channel, a groove for the power cord, which is the USB-C. And one last thing, I'm just going to double check the sizing here. So I'll just make a small block with the same size cutout in it, and I'll print that. And that'll allow me to validate the size of this cutout. And sure enough, phone charger fits through nice and snug. So that's going to work. Now back into Blender, and we'll import our pillow and we'll import our cutout. As you can see, see the outline of the cutout. And now we'll add what's called a Boolean modifier and set that to difference. And once we hit apply, we can turn off the cutout piece and see that it has sort of been erased from the pillow. So now when we print this, that charger will have a place to go and the cord will have a nice cutout. Then import this into Bamboo Studio and just double check all of our quality settings. So I couldn't stand how ugly the cutout was previously. I had to go back and redo some of that and streamline some of those shapes. And that's what I did. Why it looks a little bit different. So once it's finished slicing, you can see the finished result. And that little white line there, that looks like that's the Z seam as well here showing on the back. But overall, with a normal layer height of 0.16, this looks pretty clean, at least here in the preview. The time lapse that I did for this did not end up working out, but I was able to snag a few of these short videos with my cell phone of the A1 just getting down, and this thing is an absolute beast. It prints flawlessly. Here we are a few hours later. Total, this was a 16-hour print done in Polymaker's Polyterra PLA. After 16 hours, we have the finished product. Whoa. Yeah, that looks really nice. So let's go ahead and get this thing assembled. Looking at the pillow itself, the cloth texture really turned out well. A little bit of blemishes here on the underside where there was a pretty severe overhang. You can see the Z-seam right there. But overall, man, that is just gorgeous. The feel is just great. And let's see if our phone charger fits. Ooh, like a glove. And there was really not a whole lot of clearance in here. We can just slide that over to the side and then route our cable. I didn't think about how we were going to secure these components inside of the pillow. So we're going to be using old-fashioned duct tape here. It seems to solve everything. And it's the bottom of this. It's just going to sit right there and hold those components in place. Once we're using it, nobody's going to see that. And then we'll finish this off with some adhesive rubber feet, and that's going to keep it from sliding around. Let's plug this thing in and see if it works. It worked. So there we have it. A fun, minimalist phone charger that's easy to use and ensures that I get a good charge every night. No more waking up to discover that I positioned it a little bit wrong and now my phone is dead first thing in the morning. Thanks for watching this far. If you liked the video, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any future videos. Speaking of future videos, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video or ideas for the future, so drop me a comment below and say hi. See you next time.